There we go. Today on the Matt and Ann Show, we welcome Fred Barnett, Pro Bowl wide receiver. Welcome to the show, Fred.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
I'm going to start off. The Eagles are currently 5-7. What do you think of this? Have you been watching them at all? And what do you think so far of their season?
I have not as much as I of course want to. I'm living in Bermuda right now, but I've caught a few games. Of course, we've had some great wins this season, but some disappointing losses, especially the one against the Giants. I thought there was going to be another miracle in the Meadowlands, but it didn't happen. But you have to be optimistic. I mean, when you look at the rest of the season or the rest of the schedule, these are games that they could possibly win. So, I mean, with all the disappointing losses that they've had, you never know. I mean, if they could win out, they could go to the playoffs. But I think overall, understanding that it's a new coaching staff, you got a young team. You kind of look for your bumps. You take your bloody noses as you go. And I thought that they would do a little better, but unfortunately, like the game against the Giants, that's a game that I thought they would win. I even think the Giants thought that they would lose against the Eagles. But they played bad, but we played horrible. So this season I think has not been all that everybody wanted it to be. But there's still a chance. There's still some optimism there.
I know my question is, what you thought of Jalen Hurts?
What's your thoughts on Jalen Hurts?
Jalen Hurts, that's a good question. I think he's a pretty good quarterback. I think of course, he has a lot to learn. I mean, when you look at the 3 interceptions, there were, it was kind of his fault. I think, I've said this from the beginning. I think there's some maturity that has to happen. I think once you leave the college rankings and you go to the pros, there's a different style of play, that's conducive to being a professional quarterback. And I think that that's something that he's going to learn over time. It's still, at times, it still looked like he's a college quarterback to me, and that's nothing really negative. It's just, I think that there's a learning curve that he's going to, have to accept and have to change, as a player. I mean, I think every player who comes from college has to, once they go into the league, there's something that has to change. I mean, the game it's the same game, but it's on a different level.
One of your quarterbacks was Randall Cunningham. Do you see any similarities in the two at all? Because he was one of the first true running quarterbacks. Now there's a ton of them, but he was one of the first true running quarterbacks out there.
Well, the fact that he runs, there's some similarities, of course. It's hard to kind of judge it, as we're sitting here, and even as we're, watching the games. The Monday morning quarterback, so to speak. But it'll be more telling if we were able to see the film and understand why he ran the ball, or if he could have sat in the pocket longer and went to his second or third read or what have you. And I think that's the biggest question that they have to answer. And of course, we don't know, the times when he, should have ran the ball and he didn't, or the times when he, should have thrown the ball and he didn't. So, it's really about dissecting the film and understanding what his responsibilities are, on every play. But to some degree, as to answer your question, he does remind me of Randall because he's a great runner. I think, if with a lot of work, he could be a pretty good quarterback.
My next question, who is your favorite wide receiver? In the league right now.
You have a favorite wide receiver in the league right now?
In the league right now? Oh, gosh. Actually, that's a great question. I'm not a 1 o'clock on Sunday like watching. But that's a good question. I think everybody needs to be better right now. I mean, I liked Julio Jones, but he's hurt.
Yeah.
It's been a lot. It's been a lot of pretty good wide receivers in the league, but Julio Jones, I say, would be my favorite guy. He's the type of guy. He's a lot bigger than I am, but he kind of reminds me of myself. He has the speed, has the size. Not afraid to go across the middle. And here I am talking about a guy who's not even playing right now, but he's. When I think of wide receivers that are playing the game right now, he's the first guy that comes to mind.
The Eagles used the 10th pick on Devonta Smith this year. What are your thoughts on Devonta so far through his rookie season?
You know what? I'm pleasantly surprised. I think there was a lot of questions about his size. And actually, I talked to Mike Quick, and Mike said he was a real deal. I wasn't able to see him in training camp as much because I'm living off, out of the States right now. But from what I've seen so far, he's a tough kid. His size really doesn't matter. I mean, there was one game where he had a couple of touchdowns, and I got a hold on 1 second. Sorry about that.
Don't even worry about it.
I got a text actually from a buddy and said that I think he was the second. He was the first actually rookie wide receiver to catch 2 touchdowns in a game since I was the last rookie to catch 2. But I think it was a good pick. As I mentioned, I'm pleasantly surprised because I think we all have doubts going into the season about draft picks until they really show themselves. And I think he's been able to really show up and be a great player.
Maybe we
the 95-yard catch from Randall against the Giants. They just played the Giants. What's your memories of that rivalry and that catch that day against the Giants?
But that was against Buffalo.
Oh, Buffalo, yeah.
Yes. Yes, I hear about that play all the time, of course. So because I hear about it all the time, I can't help to remember it all the time. So it was an interesting play. It was I guess to some degree it was a busted play because Randall got rushed and he managed to get out from under Bruce Smith's arms and heave the ball downfield. I think I had a post route on the right side, and Calvin had a dig route, and I can remember just running my post route and looking back, but not hearing a whistle and just seeing bodies flying everywhere. And I finally see Randall run to my left, and he points. And once he points, I know he's throwing the ball, so he just kind of heaved it. And I was able to go up and get it. And the defensive back just couldn't jump higher than I could. So I was able to go up and get it 95 yards later. Here we are still talking about it.
You were telling us you live in Bermuda. What brought you to Bermuda, and do you plan to stay there for a long time, or is it one of those things you're just there for the time being?
Well, we've been coming here for about 12 years now. My wife has a company here.
Oh, nice.
So over the pandemic, we've decided to stay here. So we're thinking that we've been coming back and forth to Philadelphia. As a matter of fact, we just got back last week, and I'll be back on the 10th of this month. But we're probably going to be here probably for another 3 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be I'm a Cowboys fan. So what
Did you say you're a Cowboys fan?
Yeah, he's a Cowboy. I'm an Eagle.
All right, it's over.
but what is that on the Cowboys?
I heard that.
what your thought on the Cowboy season?
So far,
What are my thoughts on the Cowboy season?
so far.
I think they're pretenders, of course, like they always are. No, you know what they got a pretty good team. They got a pretty good team, and I have to say that on the losses that they had key players that were out of the game, but that weren't able to play. So it'll be interesting to see what they do when everybody's back. I'm not well. I'm surprised of the offense, but I'm not surprised of the defense. They always have a great defense. I think they are a playoff team. I don't think they're a Super Bowl team because I think they just at some point they have hiccups for some reason. So I mean, I think they're going to have a pretty good season, but I don't think they will go to the Super Bowl.
Staying on the topic of the Cowboys, what are your memories of the Cowboys rivalry and the games you got to partake in?
Oh my gosh, man, it's unbelievable memories because it was our biggest rivalry, even with the Giants, of course, and the Redskins. The Cowboys were always the biggest rivalry. Just remember playing in Cowboy Stadium. Just the fans are unreal. There's blue and white everywhere. So it was. I got so much pleasure out of Cowboys fans knowing who I was, because I had a few successful games with them, and of course they won 3 Super Bowls during my years too. So there's always been a rivalry there. There's always been a love-hate relationship because I know a few Cowboys, Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith, those guys. But when it was time to get on the field, it was just, oh gosh, it was an all-out war, and it's still like that, and the fans still feed off of it. I remember games when, of course, with Reggie White and Jerome Brown, my first year there, and just them letting, us as rookies know how important this game is. And it just wasn't another game. It was every year. Every time we played them, it was special for us to go out and kick butt. But, there was some times that they got the best of us. But the Cowboys-Eagles rivalry I think will be here long after I'm gone.
We mentioned your rivalry. What as a rookie, what was a good advice that you might have gotten from a player that you played with?
Actually, Reggie White gave me a lot of good advice, of course, to always keep my nose clean and stay out of trouble, and that, I was an important person in the city. Mike Quick as well, kind of took me under his wing. And although I'm no different than anybody else, that if I got in trouble, it would be, in the newspapers, unlike everybody else, So they taught me the importance of just really, staying focused on what I needed to do, and just being able to manage, my day-to-day life as a professional football player, and understand that, I was a role model and I was an example. And that was one of the key guys that were in my life, Reggie, and they gave me advice, rather, Reggie, Mike Quick, and a few others, even guys like Seth Joyner, and even Randall as well. I was never really a kid that stayed in trouble, but there's always trouble out there to get in, So, it was great, of course, playing with those guys, and they gave me great advice, and, I turned out to have a pretty good career.
In 2001, you were a tight end coach in the XFL with Memphis.
Yeah.
Could we possibly
Yes.
see you be a coach in college ranks, even one of the new leagues coming up, or even NFL?
I'm sorry?
Could
What was the question?
Be a coach in one of like the NFL, college, or even one of these new leagues? I know the XFL is coming back in 2023. USFL is coming back. Could we see you be coaching in any of those leagues?
I doubt it. There's some business stuff that I have going here. I have a small whiskey distribution, and I'm looking into getting a the cigar distribution on the island. And coaching takes up a lot of your time. And I'm a big family man. I have young kids. I have a 5-year-old. I have a 10-year-old boy, 5-year-old boy, and I have girls in college. So with the work that I'm doing with my wife and the business that I have here, I just really have no desire to do it. I mean, I love the sport. I love, of course, to watch it. But when I think about just the time that you have to put into it, it just kind of blows my mind, because I did a couple of interns, and one of the interns, every time the intern, it was just from it wasn't 9 to 5. It was more like you're 6 to 10, and that's just not the lifestyle that I want to live.
I want to finish with this. You were telling about you have a whiskey business and you want to get in the cigar business. Can you tell us more about that and where people can check out your whiskey business?
Well, it's just actually whiskey distribution. I distribute a brand right now from Kentucky to the island, and it's a brand. The brand is called Michter's, and I'm actually looking into bringing non-Cuban cigars on the island. So it's a small business, and I'm looking to grow it, and hopefully by next spring I'll go to Kentucky and solicit some more brands to bring to the island.
What got you in the business?
What got you into the business?
Oh, I've been a whiskey sipper for years. I've been a whiskey sipper for, about 15 years. A buddy of mine got me into sipping it. I mean, all of the top bourbons, I try to, of course, get my hands on the Pappy Van Winkles that I could barely get. But I have a bottle collection of about 400 bottles. This is some of my collection here. That it's not everything, because most of my stuff is in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
But I once my buddy introduced me to it, and he got me to nose it, which means, of course, smell it, and told me what to look for when I smell. And I was like picking up the notes, and then I started to sip it and like pick up the notes as well that he was telling me to reach for, and I just got hooked. And I'm always like hunting for bourbon. I'm in like Delaware. I'm in New Jersey, even as far as Maryland. I'll drive like miles, hours to just go pick up a few bottles. And as a matter of fact, I had a contact in Buffalo, New York, and I would take day trips to get good whiskey. So to drink good whiskey.
That's awesome. We want to thank you for coming on the Matt and Ann show today. Where can people
for
find
having
you
me,
on
guys.
social media?
I'm sorry?
Where can people find you on social media?
I'm at Bourbon. Well, I don't have a whole lot of social media, but I'm at Bourbon Bruh on Instagram. You'll see all my whiskey bottles. It's Bourbon_BRUH, and you'll see I do mostly posting of my whiskey and cigars there. And actually, I'm also at Hit Me I'm Open on Instagram as well. And that's more my personal Instagram. So you'll see some pictures. I think the last picture I posted was me and my son at an autograph signing. But I'm not too much of a media guy, a social media guy, but I may have to get into it. I hear a lot of guys are making a lot of money doing it. So it sounds like a good idea.
I wish it was happen on our show. We appreciate it. Hopefully, whatever and open back up, we can maybe meet one day, but thank you so much for having on.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fred.
Hey,
Fred
thanks,
Barnett,
man.
everyone.
Yeah.